They called to bear the burden of a long twilight struggle, year in and year out, rejoicing in hope, patient in tribulation, a struggle against the common enemies of man, tyranny, poverty, disease, and war itself.
Well, it was originally called the Colorado Farmers Union because it was only in Colorado. It was started in the early 20th century during the era of Teddy Roosevelt, and the original 7 founders of the Farmers Union were what we would call today populists. They were both religious and political eccentrics. I believe the word today would be fanatics. They were particularly opposed to land speculators, wholesalers, monopolists, and exactly where we are today. Their notion of conservation was really quite modern and innovative. They felt that stewardship of the land was really a spiritual obligation for humanity, and that the notion that the land is a gift and it's not a commodity, and we need to treat it as a gift, so that the measure of a good farmer or a good rancher is to leave his or her place in better condition than when they found it.
The late 70s and the early 80s were really tough years for farmers and ranchers. It was the farm crisis, as far as I'm concerned. We lost a lot of our membership because they went bankrupt. A lot of them couldn't pay their bills. We experienced suicides in the organization. We created a hotline for farmers to call. We did so many different things. I can't remember the year exactly, but Senator Haskell, after we visited with him, he was U.S. Senator from Colorado, he said, "I'll do everything I can to be of help, to agriculture and farmers and ranchers." After we left his office a little later in the day, I got a call from Senator Haskell, and he said, "Would a group of your members like to go to the White House and visit with the president?" I was really shocked because I didn't think that could happen. Senator Haskell had asked President Carter if he could bring a delegation from Colorado, to the White House to talk about the farm crisis. We were able to tell our stories to the president.
Our history started with Farmer Union a long time ago, like 50 years ago in 1972. After graduating from CSU and then getting married and then spending 2 years in Peace Corps in Panama, we bought a small acreage with an old farmhouse on it that we began to remodel and fix up. But about 8 months into this project, we had a house fire that destroyed the house completely. With those insurance proceeds, we were able to help put a double-wide modular house on our property. And we have been forever thankful and grateful to Farmers Union for the way we were treated.
There's a lot of great memories that we have about for being involved with Farmers Union. First of all, just meeting all the wonderful people, not only in the state of Colorado and Wyoming and New Mexico, but just across the nation, and the wonderful friends that we've met and we've stayed in contact with and keep in touch with what's going on in their agricultural world. We've enjoyed the fly-ins, getting to meet with congressional people, visiting the camps up at Bailey. And one thing that really kind of stood out in my mind is when the wind turbines first became happening in Logan County, visiting those and riding around in a school bus, seeing what that was all about.
My family's been involved in Farmers Union for years. My great uncle was president of Rocky Mountain Farmers Union. I was active off and on throughout my mid-20s. I met my husband, and his family was huge with Farmers Union. After we got married, I was called to come and asked to come up to camp and be the craft lady, and that was 24 years ago, and I've been involved in summer camps for Rocky Mountain Farmers Union ever since then. The most memorable part, just raising my children with the Farmers Union philosophy and the leadership and the camaraderie and the families that, even if you're not a family or don't have a family, being part of Farmers Union, you become a family and you become part of the Farmers Union family.
I think Farmers Union for me, it really bridged a gap between what I do and what's happening outside of what I do in agriculture. Like I said, going to DC, there's so many different things that I just didn't realize play a role in how I do my job every day. And getting to see like my story and what I do really does have an impact on the people who are making the rules and the laws for how we go about producing food and fibers and fuel. Just seeing the whole connection, the whole story, and seeing that, it's not just somebody else. Like, I have a choice and I have a chance to make a influence on everything. It's been really eye-opening, and definitely reignites my passion whenever sometimes, it gets rough out here when you feel like the whole world's against you. But knowing that I tell my story and people learn more and it makes things better, it's very motivating.
I think what drew me to Farmers Union is that sense of community. None of us need to be an island. Farming and ranching can be pretty tough, and having that web of support is really critical. I'm really proud of our education programs that are developing leaders and creating readiness for the next generation of farmers and ranchers. I'm also proud of our Co-op Development Center that's building more equitable business structures. When it comes to legislation and policy, a lot of the work that I get to do, I feel like we have a really strong voice. This year at the National Fly-In in DC last September, U.S. Secretary of Agriculture Vilsack said something along the lines of Farmers Union is the architect for this current administration's ag policy. And as phenomenal as that is, I think it's even more amazing that we have good working relationships on both sides of the aisle. So we can be effective passing something as massive as the Farm Bill, but also on the state and local level. We do have a very strong voice and leading voice when it comes to soil health, conservation, stewarding precious resource such as Western water, but also creating a more equitable and just regional food system for all involved in production. That to say, I'm also really proud of our innovation. Programs like Drought Advisors, that's taking a teamwork-driven approach towards being proactive with drought, but also AgWell, that's working towards the whole health for farmers and ranchers. Yeah, come with us. Buckle up, plug in, let's build on this strong foundation that we have, and let's do some amazing things in the future.
To me, the Farmers Union is really at the forefront of the enormous changes that must take place in agricultural production and also in the non-agricultural value of the land, particularly in Colorado and in Wyoming and New Mexico, where we have such incredible scenery. To protect that scenery, to protect those open spaces, and to allow people to know where their produce is coming from, and to get more and more young people engaged in the production of food, I think makes the Farmers Union more relevant today than, in my opinion, than it's been in the past.